and CEO of Russia. As you may guess from the name of the company, today I'm gonna take you on a little journey to the Russian music market. I don't know if you've ever considered Russia as a potential territory for your music project, or you never even thought about it, but I hope that today will provide you with some useful and interesting information. So stay tuned and let's go there. But before we dive in to the details of the Russian music market, I'm going to give you some overview of what the company is doing. So, Music Development Russia was founded in 2015 as an artist management company, and it's still the core of our business. At the moment, we're managing more than 20 artists on 360 basis, both international and Russian acts. We also operate as a music publishing company, so we provide different services in terms of publishing for Russian and international composers and songwriters. We also organize events of different scale, starting from small club shows and showcases to major festivals and tours around Russia and Europe. We also operate as a music export office. It's our own initiative, so we promote Russian music and Russian artists to the international music market by helping them to build their strategy. So we also organize marketing campaigns for them, or we organize tours around Europe and other countries if that is possible. We also consult international artist management companies, record labels, music export offices on how to enter the Russian music market. So we help them build the strategy, we help them with the marketing campaign, we provide them services on different parts of their music strategy. So we just guide them through the Russian music market. And that's what I'm going to do today for all of you. And another important part of what we do as Music Development Russia is education, because we believe that education is an essential part of the market development on local and international level. So, as I said, we can be a perfect guide to the Russian music market, and let's see if it's even possible to survive on the Russian music market. So, before we start with the music-related specialities of the market, let's talk about some key facts. If you don't know that, Russia is big. And that's not just something to be proud about, but it's something that affects the whole market, and music market is not an exception. You need to consider the size of the country when you're planning your music strategy on the market. So, for example, there are 11 time zones, and if you're planning marketing activities, you need to make sure that all your fans are involved in these marketing activities accordingly to the time zone where they're in. For example, if we talk about a live stream you're organizing, you need to make sure that your fans from different parts of Russia can be part of it and can enjoy everything you provide to them. If you're planning to tour Russia, then you also need to consider the size of the country and the distance. So, for example, a flight from Moscow to Vladivostok will take you 9 hours. So you need to make sure you have time to do that. And also, regional logistics is not that easy. So very often, in order to travel from one big city to another one, you'll have to fly back to Moscow. So touring Russia takes time and a lot of advanced planning because of the size of the country and because of the distances. I already mentioned Moscow as the center for transportation, and it's not just about transportation. Russia is mainly about Moscow, and Moscow is a real center, not geographically, but for cultural, political, and economical life. So The offices of the biggest music companies are in Moscow. Major festivals, big international and local shows are first of all happening in Moscow. So if you're planning to start building your career, and if you're thinking about coming to Russia, either to start building your network or to start with a promotion tour or to participate in some showcase activities, you'll definitely start with Moscow. Apart from Moscow, there are 15 more cities with more than 1 million inhabitants that should be considered as targeted cities for the beginning of the promotion strategy for the music project. So usually they will be the centers for regional touring as well. So that's a little bit about the geography. Another important part that you need to know apart from the music industry is the financial situation on the market. Unfortunately, Russia is still the country of economic inequality. So as you can see here, middle class is not that high represented on the market, which means you also need to consider all the activities, ticket prices for the live shows accordingly to the economic situation in the country in general and in different regions. Because, for example, people can afford buying expensive tickets to the live shows in Moscow, but in smaller cities they cannot because the financial situation there is different. What about money exactly? Here you can see average salaries in Russia in general, in Moscow, and in a small city. However, as you may know, there are almost 100 billionaires that are in Forbes list. 8 of them are in top 100. So financial wise, Russia is a very contrast country. I already mentioned a bit about like traveling to Russia, touring Russia, but we obviously live in a digital world, and sometimes you don't even have to go to the country to start reaching out to your fans, to start building your fan base and building your profile on the market, because we have internet. Thanks to it, I'm participating in this conference from a completely different part of the world. So what about internet? You could hear some rumor that there are restrictions in Russia in terms of internet. So far, it's just a rumor, and let's hope it will stay like that. So far, there is internet. It's possible to use all the main platforms that exist around the globe, and it's possible to be connected to the rest of the world. Moreover, internet in Russia is cheap, it's high speed, so it's affordable and available, and it's really easy to be connected from any part of Russia. So there are almost 100 million of internet users. 73 million of them use mobile internet. As you can see here, the number of mobile phone users almost doubles the population of Russia. 74% of them have access to 4G. And what about 5G? Nobody knows. And 61% of them use smartphones. So what do they usually do on internet? So apart from banking and looking for some weird questions in the search platforms, they obviously use the social media. And that's what I think is really important to know when you're planning your marketing campaign or your touring campaign, or you're just building the profile for your artist or for yourself. If you're an artist on the market, you need to know how social media are used, which social media are popular. So I'm going to give you a brief overview of the social media and the most popular ones. So The most popular social media is VK. It's a local one, and I will talk about VK a lot today because it's one of the most useful and important tools for a music project, to build a profile on the market, to promote any activity, also to stream your music, etc., etc., etc. So VK is there, and everybody needs to use it if you're planning to do anything on the Russian music market. And as you can see, like 48% of the internet users use VK. Then there is Instagram, YouTube, another local platform, Одноклассники, social media for more mature audience, let's say. And there is TikTok that is growing rapidly, and now 17% of the internet users are on TikTok, and I'm sure that next year the number will be a lot higher. And what about music? Do they listen to the music on the internet? Of course they do. So 87% of internet users listen to the music. It's a really good number, but the main issue is how they use to the music. And unfortunately, only 13% of them use streaming services. And this number includes those who pay and subscribe to DSPs, and also those who just use streaming services for free trial period. So apparently there are more or less 11 million people in Russia using streaming platforms to listen to the music. Hopefully this number will grow, and apparently the dynamic is really good. So if we take the market revenue from 2018, more than 80% of the market revenue were in the live sector. So all the money came from the live shows, from concerts. But now the part of the streaming is growing. So hopefully, as they predict, by 2024, the part of the streaming in the market music market revenue will be almost 50%, which is good, but let's see it there. And what about DSPs? What about streaming platforms? Where do these 11 million listen to the music? And again, VK is on the first place. So as you can see, more than 50% of DSP's subscribers are subscribed to VK and Boom, which is a streaming service from VK, and they use it as their main source to listen to the music. Then the second place goes to another local DSP, Yandex Music. Then there is Spotify and Apple Music. An interesting thing is that Spotify entered the Russian market only a bit more than 1 year ago, and it's growing really fast. According to a recent survey, the popularity of Spotify keeps growing, and especially among the young people, among young audiences. So I'm sure next year the share of Spotify will be bigger. And for example, you can look at the data of 2019, and here we could see like 3 main players with the bigger market share among the streaming services. As promised, I'm gonna tell you a bit more about VK, because that's the basis that can help you to build the profile for your music project on the Russian music market. Going back to the history, VK was founded in 2006 as a social network. So it was like an alternative for Facebook on the in Russia, on the Russian market. The only special feature that it had back then was that users could add music to their profiles. So they could upload their favorite songs, they could create own playlists, they could share the music with their friends, etc., etc., etc. And VK became like one of the biggest music sources back then. Then it was changed into the streaming service. So VK started to pay to the right holders, to the streaming, to distributors, and became like one of the most influencing streaming platforms on the market. Apart from the function of a DSP, VK is also a really influential media source. Because imagine all those people who created their users' playlists started to add more and more music. At some point, they started to review this music and turned into this called VK public pages that I can say seem like an alternative to a music blog. So you have different genre public pages reviewing new releases and new videos there, etc., etc. And sometimes it works a lot better to be reviewed by VK public page than to be reviewed by classical media. I will talk about classical media a bit later, but VK public pages are really powerful. There are plenty of them. Here I put just some examples. You can pitch your music to VK public pages manually. Some of them will review the music for free. Some of them will ask for a small fee. But anyway, they work really well as a marketing instrument, as an instrument to promote your music and to get some new followers and some new fans for your music. Apart from delivering your music to VK, that's easy. So if your music is distributed globally via a global distributor or an international aggregator, the music will be there. It's important for an artist, for a band, to create own profile on VK. Again, it's like a profile on any other social media. So you add your pictures there, your music there, some of your news there, and people start following you. And that's a really important tool to have. First of all, with the public page, it will be easier to pitch your music to editorial playlists on VK. It will be easier to pitch your music to VK public pages because you already have the profile. So those who are interested in your music can actually go to your profile and check what's more there. Also, it's a good communication tool to be in touch with the audience, and it's an important tool to collect data because there you have your followers. Also, there you have people who add your music to their profiles. That's important for brands, for example, because they look how many followers a band has and if it may be interesting for them to do some collaborations. It's important for booking agents and promoters because they can evaluate the followers of VK and check if the band actually has fans, who these fans are, how much they can pay for a ticket, where do they live, if they are all from Moscow and St. Petersburg, or maybe there are more fans in different cities, and based on VK data, a promoter can actually, or a booking agent can actually start planning a tour. So a really powerful and important tool to have. As I said, it's easy to create this profile, it's free and you can do it in any language, but I highly recommend to communicate with your audience in Russian. And that's where we come to an issue that exists on the Russian market, which is a language barrier. And by language barrier here, I don't mean the language of the music, the language of the song. The song can be in any language and it can still be popular. But Russian is definitely the language of communication with the audience and with the business partners. So it's better if you have a representative in Russia that can help you at least with the communication, or even better, if you can create the local team that will help you promote the brand of your artist on the market, that will help you get in touch with the audience and develop your project on the Russian market. Before I go deeper to the teams and who it is important to have as part of your team, if you're operating on the Russian market, I wanted to talk a little bit about trends that exist on the Russian market at the moment in terms of music. So, domination of local repertoire. If we take the chart of VK, top 100, there are from 90 to 95% of local artists represented. Mostly they are pop or urban. And another trend that is now on the market is short cycles, which means that the audience switches really quickly, especially the younger ones. So it's really important for an artist to build a solid profile and good connection with the audience to make sure that the audience actually sticks with the artist and keeps following the artist. So I said that it's great to have your team in Russia because it will help a lot to develop your project and to develop career of an artist. The best thing is if you have a label you sign to. It can be one of the 3 major labels that you sign to internationally. They all operate on the Russian market, where apart from international artists, they also represent Russian artists. So it's a good source for collaborations with the local artists that can help you promote your project and your artist profile. If not a major label, it can be a local label that works in the niche where your music belongs to. So it's a great opportunity, and maybe you'll consider signing to a local label to get better results from the local market, from Russia. If not, you can just build your team and you can put different roles and organizations into this team. The first organization or role I really recommend to work with on a Russian market is a publishing company. Because the publishers, first, they can help you with protection of your music on the local market. They will make sure that the royalties are collected in the right way, that your music is used the right way, and they can track the way the music is used. And also they can help to promote your music to to sync deals, for example. So because the video on demand platform keep growing on the Russian market, and also a lot of companies are now produce a lot of content for this platform. So movies, TV series, and they all need music. And in terms of music, language doesn't matter. So it's a really good revenue stream, sync deals, and a good publisher can help you with that. So here is a list of the publishers that can be considered. And as I already mentioned, the publisher will help you collect the royalties in Russia in the best way. So there are 2 CMOs on the Russian market. First is RAO, and they collect for the use of authors' rights. And then there is Voice, and they collect for the use of neighboring rights. So with the help of a local publisher, it will be a lot easier to collect. Before I mentioned the classical media, so print media doesn't really exist on the Russian music market. Most of the media review in music, they're all digital. Here you can have some of them. In my opinion, they're more like an image tool. However, as part of a marketing package, it's good to be reviewed by a traditional, even though digital media. And in order to get in touch with the media, you will either need at least a representative who will help you to translate all your materials, like a press release, for example, into Russian, and will help you to adapt it to the market, because in different markets there are different rules. If you can have a local marketing or PR agency, that will help even more, because they already have their connections, they know which media work with which kind of music, etc. So that may work better to have a local marketing or PR agency if you're interested in promotion of your music on the local market. Won't stop that much there, because as anywhere else in the world, TV is slowly losing its positions. It's still an image tool, but there are not too many music channels, they're not too popular. So I wouldn't consider TV as an important part of a promotion strategy for your project. And of course, we need to talk a little bit about live and what you can do in this area. When it becomes possible to travel to Russia again for everyone, there are plenty of opportunities for life in Russia. Here you have the list of the biggest cities I recommend to look at if you're planning your first activities. Obviously, all the biggest festivals and public events, they take place in Moscow and St. Petersburg. Then you also have Kazan, Ekaterinburg, and Novosibirsk that can be considered as cities for the first trials in terms of live strategy. So there are plenty of big festivals, as I already said, that for different genre and for international acts as well, that can be considered. In terms of touring, I wouldn't recommend tour the whole Russia for the very first time, because as you could see from the beginning, it's not that easy to tour Russia. It's quite long, so it takes a lot of time. So for the first time, it's better to concentrate your touring activity in the central part of Russia. So take Moscow, St. Petersburg, and maybe one of these cities to participate to. How can you actually get these touring and live opportunities? The best way is either to try and apply to festivals directly, or to work with one of the booking agents or promoters. Here is a list of some promoters that work with international artists on the Russian market. All are really good, so you can have a look and decide that maybe you'd like to pitch your projects to one of these promoters, and especially if you're planning like any touring activities around Russia, then they can be there. And of course, showcase festivals should be considered as an opportunity to present your project to the Russian markets, specifically to the professional community. So there are two showcase festivals I would recommend. Moscow Music Week in Moscow that takes place end of August or first week of September, and Ural Music Night, a showcase festival that takes place in Yekaterinburg. Usually it's at the end of June, but this year, due pandemic restrictions, they moved it to the end of October. Speaking about pandemic restrictions, in Russia we were quite lucky in terms of live, because we didn't have a total lockdown for live events like it happened in many other countries. So we had restrictions in terms of capacity. At some point it was like 50% capacity, then it was 25%, then it was 70%. Then we were not allowed to have any events for a short period of time, but in general, the live part of the industry worked more or less all the time. So that was a good part. And also, another good part of the pandemic, as we see it now, was the fact that other parts of the music industry, apart from live, starting to work, starting to look for new solutions on how to get revenue and how to get income for the artists and for the music industry in general. So it worked in a positive way, but we still really hope that soon we'll be able to work like kind of full mode on the live scene as well. So briefly, that was it about Russian music market. I hope it was useful for you. So thank you very much for your attention. Here is my contact detail in case you're interested in getting deeper. Thank you very much. Bye bye.